Welcome to week 7 of Law and Order, where the focus is on big data and student privacy. This seminar is brought to you by Lauren, Eric, Adrian, and Ashley. Once upon a time, student privacy rights had to do with whether teachers could search backpacks or lockers. But today, there's growing concern about who gets access to the realms of student information that live in the cloud. Everything from attendance, health records, test scores, and behavior data. The Education Quality and Accountability Office, Class Dojo, Report Maker, Homeroom, Power School, Advance, Introducing Classroom, Groovy Grader, Google Forms, Boss, and Behavior Tracker Pro are some of the programs and tools that teachers have to use or choose to use to collect student data and track student achievement. But do educators ever really sit down and first consider the advantages and disadvantages of big data? In a recent document published by the Ministry of Ontario, it is suggested that the use of big data is a common characteristic among schools that are high-performing or beating the odds in terms of student achievement. The use of data to drive educational decisions making results in changes in teacher practice and school culture. Teacher report greater differentiation of instruction, greater collaboration among faculty, increased sense of teacher efficacy, and improved identification of students' learning needs as outcomes of data use. Administrators and principals report that working with data support personal leads to more widespread feelings that instructional practice should be open, observed, and discussed, as opposed to something that happens behind closed doors. And the advantages don't end there. In their article, Pardo and Siemens suggest that students are now able to access innumerable learning resources, interact with applications focusing on a specific topic, enhance their experiences in virtual environments, enhance reality, and connect with others through social networks. Teachers now have the capacity to observe and record events occurring in a learning environment, meaning that every interaction and resource access can be captured and stored. This data, that teachers previously would not have had access to, can help them to develop new teaching and assessment techniques, as well as teachers can intervene when necessary and provide quicker feedback to both the student and the parents. With all of the known advantages of big data, why is there so much controversy and concern surrounding its use in elementary and secondary schools? In their article, Ethical and Privacy Principles for Learning Analytics, Pardo and Siemens raise the issue of privacy and suggest that the regulation of how personal digital information is being observed by the self or distributed to other observers is being seriously threatened by the lack of proper legislation on how information may be collected, processed, analyzed, and distributed. They claim that the acceptability of a learning analytics application in terms of privacy and ethics is closely related to trust, access, and accountability. In these areas, policy, technology, and practice are developing more rapidly than the legal framework which is intended to regulate them, and the slow pace of lawmaking seems unable to redress this gap. It is hard to imagine that there was a time when all student data was recorded by hand and stored in a physical space. When such was the case, there did not require laws or policies to establish uniform approaches to managing and protecting student data, such as test scores, transcripts, health information, personal information, and family information. More simply put, privacy of student data was never a concern because the data didn't exist in a virtual space or cloud. Despite the concerns over student privacy, teachers, administrators, superintendents, trustees, and ministry workers are not going to stop collecting and storing big data, and thus, according to Ferguson, there is a need to develop a clear and agreed set of principles and guidelines with respect to the ownership of data and analytic models, rights, and responsibilities. At the moment, there are no standard methods and generally agreed procedures for informed consent, opting out, etc. There is increasing recognition of the need for a shared understanding of the nature of agreement for data to be used and a shared code of ethics to appropriately deal with the topics of ethics, privacy, and learning analytics. Pardo and Siemens have analyzed ethical and privacy issues in learning analytics, research, and education institutions, and have also taken into account how privacy and ethics are addressed in other contexts. They identify 4 sets of principles that sum up numerous issues and are intended to serve as a basis for setting up appropriate mechanisms for meeting ethical and legal requirements when developing and deploying learning analytics. Transparency, right to access, student control over data, and accountability and assessment are the 4 principles identified to categorize the numerous issues derived from privacy. Big data and student privacy is currently a hot topic because of how much the educational landscape has changed and how quickly technology has evolved. Throughout the rest of the seminar, you will have the opportunity to explore more explicitly the 4 principles identified by Pardo and Siemens, as well as you will be required to reflect on your own personal experience with using big data. There will be questions for you to consider and to help guide your thinking, as well as 3 activities to stimulate your mind. To help you unwind at the end of the seminar, there are 2 short videos that are sure to make you laugh, but also make you think. Enjoy.